Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah bidvaro. Good morning to everyone. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero with The Ways of Israel, and today we're going to continue our learning through the book of Sefer Haikkarim, Rabbi Joseph Albo's incredible work, which lays down the foundational principles of Judaism. A little bit different than perhaps Maimonides, but something that is not only digestible, but is very profound in what he says and the statements he makes. A little bit different than that of Maimonides, but the bottom line is he strongly believes in the basic principles of the Jewish faith. And so today we're going to look at one of those principles that has to do with the unbroken tradition of the Torah, which came from Moses all the way till the present generation, and he begins to explain this in his chapter 22, book 3 of his conversation with us. So let's go right into the book of Sefer Haikkarim, and let's take a look at what he's saying in this chapter 22. The Torah which we have today, he says, Rabbi Albo, in which has been handed down to us by a broken tradition from father to son, is the same that was given to Moses on Sinai, without any changes. It could not have received change in the time of the first temple, when the priests and teachers were in the temple and the Torah was well known to everybody. And though there were among the kings who worshipped idols, they also had spoken during the entire period until the time of the destruction, who admonished the people to observe the Torah. And as far for the great alarm which Josiah felt when the priest Hilkiah found a book of the Torah in the house of the Lord, this does not signify that they had no copy of the Torah. For Jeremiah the prophet was alive then. For the reason was this, that Amon and Menasseh were worshippers of idols and offended God, so much so that our rabbis say that Menasseh cut the names of God out of the Torah and substituted the names of idols in their place. I think this was the first New Testament that existed back then. Menasseh cut the names of gods out of the Torah and substituted the names of idols in their place. Accordingly, one of the priests, who feared that the king might do the same with the original copy of the Torah which Moses wrote, if it got into his hands, hid it in the walls of the building. Later, in the days of Josiah, who returned to the Lord with all of his heart, with all of his souls, with all of his might, in accordance to the law of Moses, they looked for this book and could not find it. It was then they repaired the temple, and Hilkiah found it in the walls and was very much elated over it, as if he had found a great treasure. He then sent a message to the king, saying, I have found the book of the law, the well-known book which Moses wrote. He did not say, I found the book of the law. Now the reason that King Josiah was so alarmed at the find and rent his garment when he heard the words of the book is, as our rabbis explained in Jerusalem Talmud. The Torah which Moses wrote was rolled up so that it opened in the beginning of Genesis, whereas with the manuscript which they found open in the verse of Deuteronomy. And the Lord will bring thee and thy king whom thou shalt set over thee unto a nation, for thou hast not known. For this reason why the king was alarmed, and not because the people had forgotten the Torah, God forbid. Nor could the Torah have undergone changes when the Israelites were exiled to Babylon. For in the beginning of the exile under Jehoiakim, before the destruction of the temple, the craftsmen and the smith and the leaders were wise men of Israel were exiled. Daniel was among them, and also the prophet Ezekiel, as we read. One that had escaped out of Jerusalem came out unto me, saying, the city is smitten, for all the Jewish exiles who were scattered through all the land of Assyria had in their possession a copy of the law. For even the Kufians whom the king of Assyria settled in the city of Samaria, had a copy of the Torah. When the temple was destroyed, the Torah had already spread throughout all of Babylon, or Babylonia, and could not have undergone any changes by the reason of the destruction of the temple. When Ezra returned from Babylon, only a few went with him, while the leaders of Israel and the wise men and those of noble lineage all remained in Babylon. Thus the rabbis say, Ezra did not leave Babylon until he made it like a fine flour. That is to say, that he left those of pure descent and took with him those who were not pure, because he knew that in the land he would be able to prevent the Israelite from mixing with them. And thus none of the tribes of Levi returned with him, as we read. And I viewed the people and the priests, and found that they're none of the sons of Levi. And therefore the great men who were also conversant with the Torah remained in Babylon. Ezra would not have dared to make the change in the Torah, for then his Torah would not have agreed with that of those who remained in Babylon, and those who lived in the cities of Samaria and in the land of Assyria and in other places, who refused to return with him. It is true that he changed the mode of writing, as we said before, in remembrance of commemoration of the second deliverance, but he was not authorized to make changes to the content of the Torah. Changing the count of the month from Tishrei instead of from Nisan was not regarded as a real change, because the Torah, also Tishrei, was the first month when they computed the sabbatical and the Jubilee year. And it's possible that they were told by Jeremiah, who in turn had a tradition going back through the prophets to Moses, that they should commemorate the second deliverance as long as they retained the Passover, which was a memory of the Exodus from Egypt in its original place. But he did not change anything of the content of the Torah. The difference in word or expressions which are found in the Torah among other nations are due to errors of translation into other languages and unskilled persons. The Jews were very careful about the letters of the Torah and the plenty and defective writing. They prided themselves on knowing the numbers of the letters and verses. For example, an aleph is value number 1, which they recorded in the margins of the copies, calling it a Masorah, a practice which the other nations did not follow. Why were they called sofrims or scribes? Called sofrims? Literally it means counters, because they counted all the letters of the Torah. This shows that they kept it in the form in which it was given to Moses without any change. A proof of this is that the Torah is exactly the same today, without any changes among all of Israel, who are scattered all over the world from the extreme east to the farthest west. You can lay assured that in this time where people want to change even our Constitution and rewrite it, that did not happen with the Torah. The rabbis speak of certain words in the Torah as being corrections of the scribe, for example, in reference to the verse, "But Abraham stood yet before the Lord." They say that reading ought to be, "The Lord stood yet before Abraham," but the expression was changed by the scribes. Also, "Let me look upon my wretchedness," and they say is a correction of the scribes, for "Let me not look upon my wretchedness." And they say the same thing about other expressions. But this does not mean that anybody changed any of the words of the Torah. God forbid. No one falsifies a book would admit that he falsified it or made changes in it. How then could the rabbis say that the Sofrim made changes? The meaning is that from the context, it would seem that Moses should have said, "Let me not look upon thy wretchedness." The reason for the change is the reading of "my wretchedness" is like a correction which a scribe makes out of respect to God. Moses was not speaking in reference to himself, but in reference to God, but he changed the expression by divine order, as a scribe changes an expression by way of a euphemism. The other instances must be explained in the same way. Similarly, we must explain that the dots, which we find in the Torah over the words of Aharon and Aaron in this verse, and when we read the portion, whom Moses and Aaron numbered over the words of Uvano, Lavno, Ul Beninot, Livno, and unto us and to our children. And in the other passage, the word in question remains in the context, and the dots indicate something intermediate between the retaining the word and the deleting it. The meaning is that though the text reads, whom Moses and Aaron numbered, the one who did the numbering was Moses, while Aaron was merely with him. And his name is also mentioned out of respect, for Moses was an important person in the act and not Aaron. Similarly, the dots are intended to show that though the children may be obligated by the parents, the obligation is not the same degree as when the parents obligate themselves. The other case must be explained in another similar manner. And here he introduces chapter 23 regarding a thing that is perfect cannot be conceived to receive additions or diminution. So all in essence, the Torah is completely as we received it from Moshe Rabbeinu, with certain reference to scribal changes in order to correct perhaps the wording, but never change the actual meaning nor the text itself. And they did this by means of dots or indication of the same. And all of that is also annotated, by the way. Those of you who have a Torah Chumash, you'll see the notations and the commentaries of that in our copies of the translation in English, Hebrew, and also in the Hebrew text as well. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero. Make sure you be part of the ways of Israel and thus be part of this growing learning process that we all ought to be part of. So join the ways of Israel. Very simple. You can go to our group site and download our application, fill it out, send it to us. Matter of fact, we just got about 3 or 4 new members, which we welcome. And if you want to become a member of the Ways of Israel, it's very simple. Just download the application, fill out the application, send it to me, or send it to us, and fill out the annual membership due, which only is $100 a year. It's nothing. And it's nothing. You can also be part of our fundraising. We are fundraising for a building or a place where we can call our own home, and so be part of that as well, and be part of our monthly fundraising activities. We are always in need of at least $1,500 a month to cover costs and other issues that we do have. So be part of what we're doing. Donate today. Don't be shy. I'm definitely not shy in asking, because once I ask, then those who hear are really to a certain extent obligated to respond either with a yay or a nay, or at least provide a blessing as part of the process. So God bless you. God bless every person that is listening to our daily morning shiurs, as well as in Spanish. Those of you who live in Ohio, attention Ohio, you are in Ohio and you want to connect with a new community that's going to be, that basically we're now pushing under Javier, who's a Jew who's been with us for a couple of years now and is learning to become a rabbi as well. Please give us a call or reach out to us. We have a website at loscaminosdeisrael.org, or you can visit also our WhatsApp right there in Ohio. Look for the Ohio Ways of Israel, Los Caminos de Israel group, and thereby by coming together in the chat, we then work with the people that are there in the chat to be able to work a community. That's how it works. Very simple. You join, be part of what we're doing, be part of the learning, and you can participate as well at an actual one-on-one, very present type of meetings. So be with the Ways of Israel. Join us. Join our leaders. We have many. Be you in El Paso, Texas, that we're doing something there as well. Houston, Texas, with Rabbi Michael Perry. And like I said, we're starting to focus now more in the States to be able to create new communities. Also in this part of northern Florida. We also have Babylon, who's helping us coordinate to bring people together over there in Titusville. So if you're in the Titusville area, send me a connection and I'll put you into our WhatsApp group in Titusville. We have many groups that are forming and they're interested. Many are Jews, some are wanting to become Jews. We welcome everyone who loves Torah, who wants to be part of the Torah lifestyle, and join us. It's absolutely really free if you look at it. So contact us today, and may God bless you and bless all of yours and your family. Shalom, B'racha, in this day of a new day that Hashem made. Shalom.